Welcome back. It is 5:12, 51 degrees outside. All right, maybe they steal your socks, chew your furniture, or bark uncontrollably at the neighbors. If you've ever tried to train your dog and have been unsuccessful, today is your lucky day. Siobhan Klepfer is live at First Class Dog Training in Meridian Township to get a hands-on lesson in the art of getting Fido to listen. Siobhan, how's it going out there?
Hey, Brittany. Good morning. Yeah, we've been here for about an hour, and you will be amazed at what I have been we've learned, and Hector's been teaching me. Thank you to Hector. I'm here with Hector Hernandez right now. And Hector, tell me a little bit about your history with dog training, why you got into it.
Well, I got into it just to stay out of trouble. Grew up in a bad neighborhood. Every time I hung around somebody, I got in trouble. Dog didn't get me in trouble, so I figured I'd just stick with dogs. Since 1986, I've been training dogs.
Okay. All kinds of dogs? I mean...
I initially started with German Shepherds, and then about 12 years ago I started branching out to different breeds of dogs, and I had to learn a totally different style.
I bet. And so, and you're in this area, so anyone can kind of come and, like, ask for your assistance, right?
Absolutely. I deal mostly with dogs that are very aggressive or dogs that are uncontrollable.
Okay, so Hector, tell me, this is Flynn, by the way, and this is my dog, and we actually got him from the pound a couple weeks ago, so he's fairly new to our family, and he's loving his mom right now, because Hector has been a little rough. No, he hasn't been rough at all. But what have you noticed so far about Flynn? You know, you've known him for about an hour so far.
Right. When you first initially brought him to me, I wanted to see if he was a sound dog or not and how his temperament was. And so I did a few tests to determine if he had a high pain tolerance, if he handled stress with submission. It was very important that I knew if I put my hands on him, he wasn't going to bite me. And sometimes it does require for me to be a little bit uncomfortable with him, as you've seen.
Right.
But he handled it well. So that set the tone for what type of training collar I used, which was a nylon collar. Not too harsh, but yet just enough to correct them. And then you've seen the training progress with me correcting them, and then now not even correcting them at all.
Right. And tell us, what are the most important commands that all dog owners should know?
Well, really, any training that you do with a dog is going to be good. But the best commands is going to be heel and down. Heel controls his impulse to run all over the place, something we did with Charlie.
Right.
And then the down command, something we did with Flynn, is it's important to be down because it teaches him respect. It teaches him to hold you at a higher standard, the right way. Not with force, like we talked about, just holding him accountable, and now he does it without a correction, which now he holds me at a high standard.
Right. One thing that I think I struggle with is patience, and we'll get into that this next half hour. But coming up, Brittany, we're going to be getting Charlie out soon, so don't worry. He's doing pretty good so far, Hector.
I thought he did pretty good.
But Brittany, any requests that you want us to try to teach him?
My dog's Charlie, if you guys didn't know that. Charlie needs to learn a lot of things like not to jump up on people and how not to pull on his leash. So hopefully Siobhan and Hector can teach him all that in the next half hour. Coming up.
Right now, they say Border Collies, one of the smartest breeds in the world. Golden Retrievers, they have a very eager to please demeanor. Two great dogs.
Yeah, and I would agree with both of those as I have a Golden Retriever. Well, we are putting that to the test this morning. Siobhan Klepfer is getting a first-hand lesson on dog training in Meridian Township at First Class Dog Training with some tips for those who may need a little guidance. Siobhan, how's it going out there?
Hey, good morning, guys. Yeah, I was one of those people that needed some tips, and I still do. But we have made huge strides. I'm such a proud mama right now because it's incredible the difference that I've seen in Flynn. And this is Flynn. He's my dog that we got a couple weeks ago from the pound. And once again, Hector joining me here. Two of the things that I really wanted to work on with Flynn was not leash tugging, because that was a huge one, and then laying down because he had no idea how to do that. And I mean, so how did you... Honestly, it's night and day because he knows how to do them both now perfectly. So how did you do that? I mean, what was he like?
When I looked at his temperament, I first determined what method to use. So I chose, because he was a little meek and he's young, okay, he's about a year old, I chose a little nylon collar like this. And the nylon collar holds him accountable for his behavior. And because he was very impulsive, by what you're telling me, by what I see, you got to hold him accountable for behavior. He's got to be able to control his impulses to run and chase things because that's what his weakness was. If you use treats, he's going to choose his instinct over treats by all means. He will, especially in the face of stress. So it was important for me to hold him accountable for lunging ahead. The down command, that was important. It had to be done.
Yeah.
And I corrected him for not downing, and you can see now I don't have to correct him at all.
And sorry, real quick with this collar, and I noticed you keep it a lot higher because, you know, mine was really loose and it was back here, and you have it up here. Why is that?
Well, down at the bottom is all muscle, and what he was doing with you, he was pulling even harder when you pulled him back.
Right.
So he was choking himself, you know, in essence. So my objective was to put it up high so at least you could hold him accountable and he could feel it. And you notice that, and I don't have to correct him at all. Your ultimate goal is to never correct, but you got to get there. And we got there in less than an hour with him.
Yeah, amazing. And actually, I'm going to have you kind of demonstrate a little bit and show us how he's going to do. Let's see.
So before he was lunging ahead, now he's lagging behind. He's controlling himself. If I stop, he stops. I'm going to make him down, down. He hears the command. He does it slow. I let him do it slow, as long as he does it. But you can see it's done without a correction.
And he had no idea about an hour ago what lay down was, so that's great.
And we're dealing with a dog right now who is really mentally tired because he's got to think.
Right. Okay, great. Well, Brittany, we're going to tackle Charlie in the next half an hour. So we're going to test him, put him to the test, see how he's going to do. And we've got 2 things that we're going to work on with him, so we'll see how he does.
Had to make sure he was still alive. I hadn't seen him. Mama was nervous.
I know. The Brittany's dog, Charlie, getting ready to make his TV debut in, what, about a half hour here.
Yep.
You excited?
Hopefully he does well. Hopefully he makes me proud.
Exactly. and remembers everything that he learned today for you when you get home.
Some great tips, because I know, as a dog owner,
Yeah.
you do struggle with some things every once in a while.
Sure.
Yep.
Well,
Outside, for all of you dog owners out there, maybe you just have one, maybe you've had one in the family for a long time, or maybe you're thinking about getting one. Well, we have a special segment for you this morning. Siobhan Klepfer is live at First Class Dog Training in Meridian Township with some great tips and tricks on how to properly train that dog. Siobhan, the question is, can you really teach an old dog new tricks?
I think you can. Well, Brittany, yours is a couple years old, but he's doing very, very well. This is Charlie. This is Brittany Gray's dog, and he is really excited to be on TV, as is Brittany, I think, every morning. Once again, Hector, owner of First Class Dog Training, is joining me here. And Brittany, the 2 big things that you wanted to touch on and issues that Charlie here had was leash tugging and then jumping up on people. So for the leash tugging, Hector, how have we kind of solved that today?
Well, what we did is we just held him accountable for lunging ahead. And he was kind of an easy dog. Brittany's already done some training with him, you can tell. So just holding him accountable for lunging forward ahead 2 or 3 times, he learned not to do that anymore.
And by holding accountable, what do you mean? The kind of the jerking?
Just give him a little jerk and release. With the flat collar, he was pulling to where he was choking himself. That was causing more damage than me correcting him. So once he learned that he get held accountable for foraging, that stopped.
Okay, so let's have you demonstrate that just a little
Sure.
bit, just in case Brittany doesn't believe, because I know she said she had some issues with him tugging.
The heel, and he's right here next to me. If he were to forage ahead, I'd hold him accountable. He already knows not to, just by the first couple times I did it. He already knew how to sit, but he does it automatically when you stop. And maybe she did it, I don't know. Probably she did. He does really good. But the biggest thing was foraging ahead, and another thing was jumping up.
Yeah, now let's talk about that a little bit, because sometimes the kneeing method doesn't really work for people, and might not be the nicest way to do it either.
Right, with a dog like Charlie who handles stress with play, so as soon as you start kneeing him and pushing him off, he's going to want to play.
Yeah.
So the biggest thing to do is to have him on a leash or a little tag line, a little small leash, and if he jumps on you, just jerk him straight up and release, really quick.
Let's see that then, real quick.
If he jumps.
Right.
He doesn't want to jump on me. Come on, Charlie. Charlie, up. Come on, Charlie.
He might be camera shy.
Yep. Well, he doesn't want to because he's been held accountable. But that's what you want him to think. You want him to think that he's going to be held accountable if he jumps on somebody.
Right.
So, in all respect for Charlie, he didn't know how to behave. It's our responsibility to teach him how to behave in certain situations. And how do you do that? You throw obedience into it. Mm-hmm. So when somebody comes to the door, you make him sit. When somebody comes to the door, you make him stay.
Right.
If you don't have a leash on him or a tag line, he's going to train himself.
Right.
So he's going to do what he wants.
And you had said keep the tagline on them in the house. If they don't have the command, if they don't have the obedience training, leave it on them. Even if they're not on a walk, just leave it on them. And then you have something to grab onto just in case if you want them to lay down if you don't have a long leash, right? So just
exactly. Initially, he's gonna have a conflict with what he wants to do and what you want to do. So through training, you create muscle memory of his expectations on how he should behave in certain situations.
Okay. And really quick, talk about the importance of knowing the breed and kind of doing your homework as far as what kind of dog you have.
Yeah, breed is very important. Your dog, you can see he's a mix, but the Border Collie comes out of him.
Right.
So that tells me that I have to control his impulse, and that I know how to behave with him. So with the Golden Retriever, they're very self-rewarding. You notice I didn't even have to praise him. He loves to do what his job. So very little praise. He looks up at me because he loves it.
Yeah.
And then he just enjoys himself.
All right, Hector, let's have you kind of just demonstrate a couple more times. But Brittany, I do have any questions that you have for Hector at all?
I'm sure I could think of plenty of questions. The biggest thing is, what's the tagline he's talking about?
Well, the tagline is just kind of like a really short version of a leash, right?
You can short leash, or you can even make it. You can just make it with a piece of rope. Okay?
Okay, and it's about what, like this long? Or?
I make it about maybe 3 to 4 inches long, just so you have something to grab. And you notice this collar is green. And you want to make it a different color so you can see it very quickly and you can go to it right away.
And this is that really...
The nylon.
The nylon one that you keep up here.
Yep. This dog has got a similar type of temperament that your dog has, so you're going to use a method that you're not too harsh on him, but you get your point across.
Right. All right, we've got the ultimate test coming up. Hector has one of his dogs here, Jello, so we're going to have that as kind of a distraction. So it'll be the ultimate test coming up in about half an hour.
All right, great job, guys. Can't wait to see that. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. It is 6:41, 51 degrees outside, and all morning long the show has gone to the dogs.
Yes, absolutely. We've learned several things so far this morning on how to train your dogs.
Yep.
Hopefully mine comes back a little bit more well-behaved.
Yes.
Now it is the moment of truth. Siobhan Klepfer, she's been live all morning long at First Class Dog Training. That's in Meridian Township. She's getting one-on-one lessons with a trainer in Mid-Michigan. So we're about to see exactly what she's learned.
Pressure's on,
Siobhan, take it away.
I know the pressure's on. Well, as you can see, I have a huge smile on my face because I am so impressed at how far we've come. This is Flynn, little white dog here, half Border Collie, and this would not have been possible a couple hours ago. He would have been all over that German Shepherd. But real quick, I want to start off with Hector. This is Hector, by the way, joining me again with First Class Dog Training. And Hector, you don't train with treats.
I do initially, and then when the dog shuts down, I use treats. But very, very rarely I use treats. And for several reasons. One, you could be rewarding behavior you don't want. And two, if a dog's got impulses, he's going to choose his instinct and his impulses over a treat in almost every case.
Okay. So you don't have a pocket full of treats that you're just handing them out all the time at all.
No, it's too hard to switch doing everything all at one time. You just want to train your dog, have expectations of your dog, and get it done.
And you know this because when we first brought Flynn out, when you first met him, he was all over the dogs. I mean, lunging, and it's like this when, another dog comes around, I'm trying to walk him. How have you been able to kind of get him to this point where he's almost essentially ignoring the other dog?
Well, he's paying attention to me now instead of himself. It's about me, not about what he wants, and that's what training's about. Yes, you could use treats to make him enjoy himself, but he'll start to gain confidence in himself the more you do it, and he'll start to really respect you.
Okay, so if you don't mind just doing a quick little demonstration, if Flynn will get up a little bit. He's kind of tired. He's tired and camera shy. Oh. There we go, a little moment.
There we go. Good.
Yep. And it just took a little bit of correcting, right, Hector, just to kind of snap him out of it?
He was sleeping. This is pretty stressful for him. He had a really rough day today. And that's what the training will do. It'll stress him out in order for him to think so much that he gets really tired.
Okay, well, Hector, people can, get a hold of you. You said there's like 3 training sessions for how you operate?
My basic obedience, they learn how to heel, sit, stay the first day, down and come, and then off leash come the third day.
Okay, and so we kind of went through the first, what would have sort of been the first training session?
2 days. We went through 2 days. We have to go over the come command and the off leash come.
And we were only here for 2 hours or so. So very, very impressive. How can people get a hold of you?
Well, my website, firstclassdogtraining.com. And my phone number, 517-712-5012.
And Brittany, there's also before and after, so you can see some of the dogs, how far they've come on that website as well. So I'm going to enjoy hanging out with him, and I still have a lot to learn as well, because I need to get some training on how to train him. So back to you guys. We've learned so much. I'm really excited.
Not only training the dogs, but the owners themselves.
That's right. You both walk out of there learning something about each other.
That's right.
That's why they call it a relationship, just like Hector said.